It's time for Bourbon with Friends, the bourbon podcast that never takes itself too seriously. Pull up a chair, grab a glass, and remember, a bourbon with friends can change the world. Here we go.
Everybody, welcome to Bourbon with Friends. Myself, Adrian, and Martin are here to talk about whiskeys from around the world and how a bourbon with friends can change the world. How you guys doing?
My cheeks hurt.
Great.
No, why would your cheeks hurt, Martin?
A long weekend.
A long weekend of getting your cheeks clapped?
Yeah, you just gotta get them cheeks clapped sometimes. You know what I mean? It's part of life sometimes. I think it's a growing experience.
Part of life, apparently. Oh man.
All right.
No, we're doing good, man. I was actually thinking about it because I was listening back to it's fucking insane. It's the end of summer, number one. Like as we're recording this, we're like, it's like there's leaves that are turning. There's animals that are, sleeping at some point. They hibernate. I know animals hibernate, but I remember at the beginning of the summer we talked about like what was going to be some of our like summer highlights, like what are we going to be doing. So what I thought was kind of cool is that we've all been at a bunch of distilleries over the summer. Like this was probably like this one summer where I went to more distilleries than I ever have. Adrian and myself, we went to Journeyman here in Valparaiso, Indiana. I went up to the Three Oaks location as well. And then we went to Adrian and I also got to go to Wisconsin and do Driftless Glen and Wollersheim. But Brian, you got to do some cool stuff over this summer.
Yeah, I've been to a few different states and went to quite a few different distilleries around each one. I was in Texas, not most recently, but about a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, and was down there and visited some pretty amazing people. So that was fun.
Would you this is totally random. Like what I'm like, yeah. I mean, like what I'm about to, we didn't plan this. Was there any specific distilleries in Texas that you might have gone to?
Well, there's one that comes to mind pretty prolifically. It was no, but they were good too. It was in, what was that place? Austin.
I've heard of Austin.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. It had a still. It wasn't a bad still, but I think it was called Still Austin.
I was gonna say, if you put those two words together,
yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Still Austin. And
that's
I was able
insane.
to meet some amazing people down there. And one of them is here with us, and the other one is just the amazing man behind it. So, John Emiliano, welcome.
Welcome, my friends.
How's it going, guys?
What's going on?
Good. Hello, gentlemen.
Totally unrehearsed intro. There was nothing rehearsed about that. Just a way to get you guys in. But what's going on? Thank you guys. I've been super excited about this one. I know like we had some we started talks about this like maybe like a month or so ago, and I've been a big fan of your guys' stuff ever since I got to try it. So I'm super excited about this one.
Thanks, really appreciate it. Glad to be on. Thanks for having us.
So can you guys tell us a little bit about yourselves and your roles at Still Austin?
Go ahead.
So I am one of the shift distillers. I work in the morning shift. We have 3 shifts, morning, afternoon, and overnight shift. So yeah, I'm one of the distillers for the morning. I've been distilling for about 3 years now, 2 at a prior Texas distillery, 1 at the great Still Austin. I'm not going nowhere, and everybody knows that who is associated with me, but I'm proud to be here, and yeah, couldn't have asked for a better situation.
Nice.
Glad to hear that.
News to me. Thanks.
Yeah, I'm the head distiller over at Still Austin. I started back in 2017 with them. I grew up in New York, and I started distilling back in 2011 at a distillery called Black Dirt Distillery. So I was with them for about 5-6 years, and moved down to Austin, Texas to help them start the distillery. Back in 2017. So now my role more is just running the day-to-day operation and making sure that these guys have everything that they have to produce amazing whiskey.
Nice.
Awesome.
That's awesome. I think I remember I lived in Texas for like overall, I think it was something like 14 years. I was in Dallas mainly. And I left in 2020. So it was right before I left Texas before I fucking learned about you guys, which bums me out. Like I moved to Colorado. And then I found out about you guys, and obviously Colorado didn't get Still Austin at the time. I don't know if they do now, but like I know that at the time they did not. And then I came back here
just very recently, but yes.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, like when I was there, I wasn't able to find it, and then I moved back here to I'm in Indiana, Northwest Indiana, outside Chicago. So I got Binny's close to me. One of my first things I wanted to do was go get a bottle of Still Austin. I went to Binny's like 3 days after I got home and bought one of you guys' cast strengths for them, and I think I got a store pick that Binny's had done. But the thing that I love is like the bottles. Well, the labels. The bottles are great, but the labels are just cool. So I'm very curious about kind of just I guess like the creation behind the labels, the art, and the thought process that goes into creating those different labels.
Yeah, so Mark Burkhart, he's our artist, and he's a local Austin artist, and we're really big on trying to keep everything local. And with the grains, obviously everything's completely grain to glass. It's all Texas grown grains, and everything's really truly from our region. And the same goes with the art. So Mark Burkhart, he's a local Austin artist, but he has big big clients like Gucci and Porsche and big companies like that. And the whole entire idea behind the archetypes behind the musician, obviously we're a very music forward city. So that being our flagship, we wanted to play tribute to that. The artist, we're obviously really artsy, and of course the naturalist, outdoors, hiking. So we really kind of want to just like play homage to all of those, and just have a good like tribute to it.
Nice. And like, is it like a collaborative effort when it comes to like the name? Like we're gonna call it this one. Like when it came to like the musician, like was that like a collaborative thing, or do you guys kind of like leave it up to however he interprets it?
So what's fun is it's a collaborative effort as far as the naming convention goes, but how he makes the label, it's totally up to him. And like getting into like the bottle and bond too, he'll taste the product and then he'll make that now animal archetype based off of how it tastes, and we give him no thoughts on what we want at all. It's totally up to him, which is really neat. Yeah,
yeah, that is really cool, because it is. I mean, especially like any artist, like you always want to give them that like creative liberty, just to see what they come out with. And I think it's always interesting. Like every single time, like I see like a new label from you guys, I think it's one of those. I'm like, what it's gonna be this time? Like I'm like, I just want to like know like what I'm like know, and then look at them, and it's very eye catching. And I think to me, I'm one of those people. If I walk into it, yeah, they are. I mean, like if you walk into a bar, like I don't know if you guys are the same way. We've talked about this before on the podcast, but like if you go to a new bar and you haven't been there before, the first thing I do immediately walking through the door is I look at the whiskey selection. And I usually, by the time I sit down, someone's like, "Do you know what you're going to order?" I'm like, "Yeah." And they're like, "How?" I'm like, "Because I saw bottle shape and I saw a label." So to have that kind of eye-catching quality to me is such an important thing when it comes to that. And you guys, it stands out. So I was kind of curious about the whole creation of that. So thanks, guys.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, no, I absolutely love it. I'm a little upset that the rabbit's not a jackalope, but that's fine. I think I said that to Emiliano at the distillery itself. I'm like, this is great. I love the artwork, but it should have been a jackalope.
Yeah,
that's funny.
The one mythical creature Brian wants to hunt. Besides Sasquatch.
I've got mostly everything else. So yes, if I could find one, it would be mounted.
Yeah. How cool would that be? You see just the Loch Ness Monster's head behind Brian.
Or the chupacabra. That's what I always think about.
The chupacabra, yeah.
Yeah.
Got a whole cryptozoology room.
maybe someday. Maybe someday.
One day.
And I was not getting canceled in 15 seconds for us talking about shooting shit that are
Fake
Hey,
animals.
one way or another, we at least two of us live in Texas still, so the shooting things is part of the daily routine.
It's part of it.
I leave for
Part of
hunting
it.
tomorrow afternoon, so you're good.
There you go. Yeah.
There you
See?
go.
Yeah.
There
So I got a quick question for you guys. Well, not a quick one. We talked about this a little bit at your distillery, but I want to bring it up here a little bit more. With Texas being a bigger scene in whiskey and expanding so vastly and so quickly, and I think Garrison Brothers being one of the oldest distilleries in Texas, what would make you guys stand apart in the whiskey realm in Texas compared to Still Austin, Balcones, Iron Root, so many other great distilleries out there? Can you give us some examples, or can you give us what your guys' thoughts are on that?
Sure. Yeah. So I think there's a few things, and I think which is really great is there's a lot of people that make amazing whiskey. It's just all different in everyone's own respect. But as far as us, what makes it different? It all starts from the grain, where we're getting the grain. I think it's one of the highest quality corn, rye, and barley that I've ever seen. Super, super clean. Makes an amazing distillate. So it starts from the grain. Thankfully, it's all from Texas to really stay true to, my big thing always is when you're trying a Texas whiskey, it should truly be from Texas. One, from the grain, still fermented, and then ultimately aged in Texas, on really learning how to combat that climate. Same thing if you were in Colorado, or if you're in Wyoming, or if you're in New York, you should be trying to figure out how to combat the climate. And so the consumer is actually tasting something from that region. So that's number one, is the grain. Number two, real big piece is our column. So the column's a continuous column still from Forsyth, and it's custom designed from a master distiller, Mike Delavante. So he used to work at Appleton Rum, and he's a master distiller for the past 40, 50 years. And now he's a distillery consultant, and he designs distilleries and he designs stills ultimately. And so what's really unique about our column versus, say, a traditional Kentucky column or Vendome, we have additional rectifying trays up on top. So typically there's 2 or 3 rectifying trays where you have your stripping section, your rectifying section, then you'll send it into a doubler, which you'll put your low wines in, and then you'll get your high wines, like your redistilled product. We don't have a doubler. We just have 12 rectifying trays, which further redistills it. And then what I think is a super key piece, a completely separate condenser that can strip heads 24 hours a day, when we're operating. It's not at the beginning, it's not at the end, doesn't blow off through a doubler or out into the atmosphere. We have a continuous cut that we can pull this tiny, tiny little adjustment. If the distillers are thinking, yeah, it's a little too hot, they can just take a little bit off, and that will take that harshness or the sharpness or like the heat from the distillate to where, I've always said we're putting in a distillate in the barrel that's complementing the barrel. It's not really like you're having to like age out these impurities. It's a really clean, flavorful distillate at 130, 125 proof. So the column's a big one. And then I'd say, like, lastly is just the understanding behind how do you age in Texas. I think it's one of the harshest. I think it's one of the most difficult aging climates in the country. And, we're fortunate enough to have Nancy Fraley, our master blender, one of the most well-renowned, most known master blenders in the country, if not around the world, especially like in the France region, in France. And so she brings on a lot of old French cognac techniques that really can apply, in my opinion, to Texas specifically. And we could get into that as well. But our blending techniques, our column, and the grain are I think what's having a standout, will ultimately have a standout. In my opinion, one of the biggest goals is having a super long-term maturation project. Sounds short, but how do you have a good, high quality 8, 9, 10-year-old bourbon or whiskey in Texas? Everyone talks about, you could age really fast in Texas. Okay, that's great. But at that point, no, I'm not really looking at that anymore. Yes, you could have a 2-year-old taste like a 4-year-old. When you have all these barrels laid down and you know that they're going to have to sit for, 4, 5, 6, 8, 10 years, how do you get them to where they don't taste like that stereotypical Texas oak bomb? And I think that's the most key piece to the whole entire, to like solving almost how do you age in Texas. It's like the biggest key for me, at least.
So I'm going to also add on to this, and I'm going to give this man his flowers because he deserves them. But I think what also separates still from a lot of distilleries in Texas, and for anybody who is distilling in Texas who sees this down the line, I just know I still love you. But it's also our leadership. This man gives us, and he, for the past year and a half that I've been at Still now, he gives the distillers free reign to do their own our own creative process. So we have a guideline, right? Make good whiskey. That's kind of it. After that, it's if you feel different kind of tweaks and turns that need to be made during your shift or during your distilling process, feel free to make them, feel free to do them, feel free to make adjustments on whim or at whim. And then just hand it off to the next guy up, next person's coming in shift, just be like, hey, I ran it like this, because these were kind of the variables that popped up at this time. Or I had to shut down the still because it was really close and it wasn't running well because the fermentation was wrong or because something happened to the fermentation. So it was a little bit different. So I wanted you to be able to start it up and just do it your own way and do it safely and well within your kind of allotted time for your shift. And then at the same time, creating our own mash bills. My first week at Still was what we call our DRS week. So just kind of a little insight. We do have a distillery reserve series where distillery only whiskeys will be released at the distillery. And so my first week was just being bombarded with 20 to 30 different, super sacks of grain that were all different styles of grain. And it was my team at the time just saying like, hey, you seem to know a little bit about the grain, put a mash bill together. We're going to come up with the numbers, the percentages, and let's fucking go. And so my first 2-3 weeks was like figuring out, learning about these different grains that some I had heard of, some I haven't, and just putting shit together. And we now have whiskey that I made and we made within my first month at Still that was just kind of at whim because this man right here just said, hey, here's the order that we got. Here's the grains that we got. Everybody come up with a mash bill for your shift and let's fucking go. Let's mill it, ferment it, distill it, and put it in barrels.
Yeah, that's great.
John, I have one question for you, John.
I'm jealous right now.
I just saw John smiling earlier when he said, when Emiliano, you just said, yeah, they threw me into the mix and they said, figure it the fuck out, pretty much. And I just saw a small little smile just come across your face right there. What was that about?
So it's funny. So the distillery, DRS is the Distillery Reserve Series. And what Emiliano's, referring to, I really wanted to give each shift, we're 24 hours. We run 24 hours a day. And this DRS, all the DRS series are really popping off. And we originally started just releasing like 2 barrels every quarter. And now the demand's so high, we have to continue to make all these new fun mash bills. And so 2023 was the first year where I wanted to task each team. So they're, collective unit to decide what they think great mash bill is, have them engaged. And obviously, I trust them, so much. I want them to have fun. And, what Emiliano was saying as far as like making adjustments, like you have the guidelines on, how you should run this thing. But there's no secret that distilleries are running any kind of heavy machinery equipment. It just doesn't run exactly the way it always should. So you have to trust your guys. And I just ultimately wanted them to have fun making their own mash bills. The reason why I was laughing is because everything that we run is off of silos. So everything's, off an auger, you weigh it out. It's all just levers. Well, this DRS week, we had, call it 40,000 pounds of grain in super sacks that they're bucket brigading into the mill in the summer. And so that was his first week an experience of, still Austin, where, it was just high manual labor. And yeah, granted, it
Hard
was
labor.
hard labor. It was a lot of fun. Now we learn from that. Then this DRS week will be first week of December. We'll never do it in the summer again. I feel terrible for doing that. That will never happen again.
No, he doesn't. He heard some asshole was
Yeah.
coming from in Texas, and he
No.
said, "We're just gonna fucking go."
He's
But
like,
no, that's
he's
why
like,
I was laughing. I'm like,
he's like,
oh,
we're
it's
doing it
brutal.
we're doing it in the middle of August, like in Texas. Yeah.
There's
Yeah, no,
no
it was in the middle of July. It was in the middle of July. So
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Yeah. Yeah.
That's still
I will.
bad.
That
It's
was
still
bad.
bad.
That was
Like
definitely
I think that's great that
I
you guys. I think that's great that you guys have the relationship that you do, because I think when your leadership trusts the rest of the group as
Oh,
much
God, yeah.
as what it appears that you guys do, I think that's where some of the most beautiful things come from. I've been
Yeah.
lucky enough to work for people like that, and it just makes a difference. So I completely understand that. But John, you were talking about aging, and I read a little bit on your website about slow water reduction. Can you talk about that a little bit more in depth?
Absolutely. Yeah, and I just wanted to finish that the on the last piece of that topic. It starts from the very, very top. Chris Seals, he's our co-founder, CEO of the company. And without him and without his vision of truly never cutting corners, and his ultimate goal is just creating super high quality whiskey and what we think is the absolute best stuff that's coming out of Texas. Without Chris and that leadership, for me to then be able to get the guys that I think that we need to be able to make these products, and and just have that full trust within the distilling team. And that's Chris just having trust within everybody in the company. And it's a really special company to work for. And for me, I've been extremely grateful the past now 8 years working for a guy like that. It's just been incredible. It makes a huge difference.
Yes.
Then to touch on the aging climate and potential. So first, it starts off with Nancy Fraley, and just learning from her from the very beginning. And it was really funny. So like my first interaction that I had with her. So we were making at one point in like mid to late 2017, we were making a wheated bourbon. And that's right when I showed up. So I showed up in about July of 2017. I wasn't really a wheated guy. I love Maker's Mark. I love wheated bourbon. But I grew up, making rye bourbon, rye whiskey. So I was always very rye driven. I always had it in the back of my head. We had a contract that we were doing. So I made one rye bourbon mash bill, which is now the musician mash bill. Nancy comes down. I was only working there for about 3 months, but I've heard about Nancy the Nose. She's a straight shooter. She's going to tell you how she feels. I'm like, great. This is either going to go really well, or this is going to be a real short trip down to Texas. So she came down and she's trying everything. She's like, yeah, it's good. Our goal was like, hey, we need to release it straight, ASAP. She's like, well, wheat takes longer to age. I'm more of a rye gal. Do you have anything else? I'm like, yeah. I have this one distillation that we did of rye bourbon. She's like, great, let me try it. It was 1 month old. She tried it, and it was the 70% white corn, 25 rye, 5 barley. And I just remember, I'll never forget it. I know exactly where we were sitting in the tasting room. She tried it, her eyes lit up, and she's like, you need to change everything to this mash bill. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, well, let me go grab Chris and the other owners, because they're going to have to hear it from you, not me.
Yeah.
And so then really the rest was history. After that, we started getting silos of rye. We started making this musician mash bill, started making then what was the artist, the 100% rye. But then now it's learning from her as far as, okay, so what's the barrel entry proof that you should be going in at? In her opinion, 118 proof is the highest, specifically in Texas. And this is really, we're talking about Texas here. For rye, 114 for wheat. And then you go into the slow water reduction process. So once we think that a barrel is of age, And this is, say, the minimum of what we think to continue to be able to put product out to the market, is about 2.5 years old. Then we'll open up and we'll bring down sets of 80 barrels at a time. We make 2 40-barrel coupes. So we'll slow water now over a 4 to 6 month period, these barrels. And every single time we open up these barrels, we open up every single barrel individually, and we'll add 6 liters to every barrel, and we'll bring it down about 2 to 4 proof points. Once we get to 106 to 108 proof, we'll then send the samples to Nancy. She'll individually grade every single barrel. And she grades them off of a pyramid, A, B, and C. And how she grades them and puts them into the coupe, we'll then label them, repalletize them, and ship them out to the bottling facility. But slow water reduction, for Texas specifically, is, in my opinion, I think absolutely paramount to be able to make a long-term maturation project. And then the next thing is really being focused on the barrel entry proofs. So we start at 118 proof, but then, looking at the 6-year-old product, as we're seeing it climb over time, we then made the adjustment back in 2021. You'll now see all the cask strengths 116 proof. So then, how we're going to do this is we're going to look at, all right, how much stock do we have for the next 4 years of 116 proof? Now, can we make it to another adjustment of either 112 or 114 proof? So it's going to be gradually proofing the barrels lower as far as new fill goes, and then always doing slow water reduction to all of the products. I would say the last piece was slow water reduction. And then if you guys want to ask any questions, from 114 to 125 proof is all your alcohol soluble sugars. So that's where you're getting a lot of your tannins, a lot of those wood forward notes. Then from 114 down to 100 proof is a lot of your water soluble sugars. There's like your caramel, vanilla, toffee, those sweet notes. So how do you ever achieve that if you're never proofing it down to those proofs from a new fill, and then you're seeing it rise over time? So we're extracting all those flavors out of the wood as we're gradually bringing it down that 4 to 6 month period. So that's how we think we're going to crack the code in Texas. Long story short.
It just sounded like a really neat process, to learn about. So should we start trying to
Oh, do you want to
these whiskeys here?
You guys
I'm
like
ready.
drinking some whiskey?
I'm ready.
Let's
Which
do it.
one are you
Let's
gonna
do it.
try first?
I just feel like proof wise, we should start with the bottle of the 6-year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Let's
bottle
do it.
bond. Brian, what do you got as far as bottle and bond over there?
I got the Still Austin beer.
Really?
Yeah, I have this one.
You have the Still Austin?
All right, yeah, cool.
Okay.
I have the rye bottle and bond, and then I have your red corn bottle and bond.
Is it the 5th? Yeah, it's the 5th year, right?
4 year or 5 year?
It's 5.
5 year.
5.
All right,
cool.
great, awesome.
Fuck yeah. Well, so Adrian and Martin, I don't know what y'all got off the top of my head, but y'all
The
got
cask
the 6 year
strength bourbon,
on the
cask
6
strength rye, and the bottled and
They have
bond.
They have these 3.
These 3,
Yeah,
okay.
they have these 3.
Easy.
Yeah.
Cool.
Easy.
I have the bottled and bond in my hand.
The 6
Yeah.
year, correct? Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep.
So
Damn.
Sorry,
So
I have
touching-
an intruder.
Yeah,
Aw.
Brian. You can,
Life with a dog, dude. Welcome to it, man.
You can
yeah.
show the bottle.
Brian, I feel terrible.
Backwards,
There'll be a bottle in the mail tomorrow.
Yeah.
All right.
It's okay. I got whiskey.
So
You know
a little bit about the 6 year. So it's that same musician mash bill. It's the 70% white corn, 25% Bracetto rye, and 5% malted barley. And it's gone through about a 6 month slow water reduction process. And I would say something new that we're doing, and looking forward into one what we're doing with the 6 year, but now moving forward, another piece as far as the big thing now for me is how do you slow the maturation down in Texas? So now for all the older products, we're stacking them only 3 high in the warehouse instead of 4 high. We're all palletized. We don't have a traditional style rick house. So I wanted to have less heat on that top stack. And now for in the future, for the 7-year and the 8-year, those are now going to sit at 102 to 105 proof, depending on the barrel, for that whole entire year. Which was a little different than the 6-year that we're trying right now. This just went through a 6-month slow water reduction process. But now all of the older barrels that are 5-6 years plus only are stacked 3 high, and they sit at a much lower proof for over a year.
And this is your white corn, right?
Yeah, white corn.
Yeah.
So we try to do something. Adrian, do you have any kind of tasting notes up?
I
about
just
this?
pulled them up. I'm ready
Okay.
if you want to
So
give it a go.
she tries to fuck me and see if I can guess what the tasting notes that are on like sometimes like the distillers will send
It's
us
a
like a little
test.
card.
It's a quiz.
Like, I know you guys sent them, but I purposely left them in the other room. So I wouldn't
Well,
be able to.
they didn't send the bottled and bond. So this
Okay,
is
so
your
that
true
yeah, okay.
test. I got it
This is
pulled up
the
on the
true test
website
then.
though.
Okay.
What's the nose?
I have so many answers for this right now, but I'm not going to say what's on my mind.
Well,
Um,
loads. I mean, and I poured. This is the one I've been drinking. I actually haven't even touched the rye or the cash strength bourbon yet because I was leaving those for this. But I wanted to have something to drink, so I started off with this one. Loads of marshmallows. Like marshmallows is crazy. Like you can just loads of it.
Toasted s'mores is on the nose in the description.
Oh, that's you.
That counts.
He's
does
cheating.
count.
You see the screen on his
He's
glass.
not. I'm telling you, he's really
No,
good.
it's our questions.
Yeah, he's really good at this.
Like, I always put it on my phone because like I can't like keep like a bunch of stuff open on my computer because it will bog down. So like I always have all of our questions right here.
I think he died
weird
again.
because
You got one? You got anything on the nose, Brian, that you wanna?
For this
Okay.
one, no.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you don't have the bottle and bond. Sorry.
no way to fucking rub it in.
Hey,
Hey Brian.
Sorry.
Hey Brian, what does this smell like?
Crazy.
Yeah, asshole.
Like there is a cherry note, but it's not typical.
Brandied cherries is in the nose. Okay, time to move to the
I'd
palate.
have never fucking guessed that.
Go to the
brandy
palate.
cherries.
You did though. You did guess it.
Not brandy cherries. I just said cherry. That's a pretty common bourbon note. Pecans, or almonds. No almonds, not pecans.
I feel like I need to look this up too to make sure he's not bullshitting or just stealing all your guys' tasting notes.
He's not. He's not. The only nutty flavor listed in the palate is cashew butter.
Okay. I can see that.
Pecan was in the nose, or pecan, depending on where you are in this lovely country of ours.
Pecan.
What
I say pecan, but some people say pecan.
It's pecan, right? Pecan. I've heard someone say pecan. I'm like, it's not fucking pecan.
Yeah, you gotta come up with a little Texas slang. So he's still on when he said homage earlier. I'm like, it's just pay homage. Just like it's not Houston, it's Houston. All right.
Yeah, I still have the Eastern.
I was gonna say, don't they say Houston in New York?
Nah, hey man,
Houston.
this is Houston Street is very, very historic in New York. I'm very familiar.
Yeah. I see. I know. I've been there.
Yeah.
So you go to Boston, then it's all a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's gonna be somebody listening to the podcast from Boston, like, fuck, dude.
I know.
Half my family's from Boston. I can talk shit.
Fucking hell, dude.
I know a lot of people from there too.
So
they text in a Boston accent. It's funny.
Yeah, you can hear it. Yeah.
I swear.
text in a Boston accent.
Yeah.
Is
Car's
that
never spelled correctly. It's car.
Yeah, it is.
Cat.
For real. Okay. So what's
It's-
the finish? Give us some finish notes or
Just-
opinion.
Smelled
I
it?
smelled it. I've been smelling it. I'm like,
I don't know.
even with a stuffy nose, I'm like, where the fuck is this thing at?
No, it's like
Bro. Sorry,
blueberry. It's like a blueberry
Sorry.
muffin. Not even on the finish, but like on the palate. I'm not even to the finish yet, but like it tastes like there's this bakery by me that has this blueberry muffin that's fucking incredible. It has cream cheese, like a cream cheese blueberry muffin, and it a scone. And I'm saying that right.
The scone.
Oh,
I'll tell you no. If you say that in front of my mom, Adrian, she's gonna fucking lose her shit because she's Scottish and she's like, it's not scone, you American, it's fucking scone.
Well, I'm an American, so I'm gonna say scone.
She gets angry at me when I call it a scone. I was like,
Or
she gets
Well, nobody around here
Yeah,
can know what
yeah.
you mean.
or
Like,
not. Yeah.
I'll keep the stage going, but in front of the Scottish mama,
Yeah.
respect the Scottish mama.
Sugar, she's
beat all our ass.
she's 5 foot but fucking angry, dude. Like she's angry, dude. So like anytime I say scone, she just looks at me and like this, like same with like herb and herb. She says herb, I say herb. Like because she does like a lot of gardening. She goes, it's not herb, it's herb. I'm like, well, there is an H in it, so I get it.
Is it like a herbivore?
A herbivore?
Oh, never. No, that's not what I said.
You said herbies?
No.
Sorry, I didn't hear you.
Oh.
Jesus. But no, I will
All
say,
right.
this is. I haven't tried the other two, but I have tried. I'm trying to rein it in. It's like I will
He
say I have
takes
tried.
longer than any man we know to fucking try to finish any tasting notes.
Oh, it's insane. Like I'll go for hours.
Okay,
sometimes.
so I'm gonna tell you, there was blueberry muffin on the palette on these notes, but you
Oh,
need
really?
to pick. Yeah, I think
I'm
maybe
not
we
doing
should
good
just
today.
go to
Shut the
I
fuck
think
up.
yeah, you've done well today, so we should probably
Good
try
job.
one of these
Thank
other
you.
ones. Yeah, let's try maybe what?
We going to the rye. I was going to go to the rye next.
Well,
Rye or
that
Jimmy?
seems
Jimmy Rye.
that
Let's-
seems out of order.
Let's
Oh, you
do
want
the
me to-
Jimmy
I can go the other way. Okay.
What do you have, Brian? We need to drink what you have.
I have whiskey.
No, you don't.
Okay.
It's got the 5-year Jimmy.
Yeah, I have the 5-year Jimmy.
What's that?
Which one's that one?
Whoa.
Oh,
Oh
okay,
yeah.
that's
I don't,
back here. That's this one.
yep,
They
I
don't have that.
that. Okay,
They
yeah.
They got the cask bourbon.
So that's this
Yes.
one.
They got the cask bourbon, the cask rye, and the 6-year.
Correct.
All right.
What is that? What
Ryan,
is that?
I have the cast bourbon right here. It's fine.
We're working with Brian here. Yeah,
Is that
we're
what-
doing for Brian.
Is that where we're going?
Which one?
I think we're going
So-
to
While y'all enjoy the cask bourbon, we're gonna discuss with Brian the 5-year red.
Okay, that sounds wonderful. That
Oh,
sounds like a fabulous idea.
I mean,
Do I need to
love
look
this
up-
red corn
Do I
straight
need
off
to
the
look
bat.
up the tasting notes? We can let Brian take a little tester
Yeah,
here.
I'll even do it fast.
he'll probably. No,
Yeah,
you
I
don't
mean,
have to.
I
Brian's
gotta
over
find
here.
it. Hold on. I gotta find it.
You know,
Let me find it. Okay, I got it. Okay, here we go. Nose.
Cinnamon.
Check.
Some type of coffee.
Check. Freshly ground if you want to know.
Okay. No, I was
Exact.
just putting coffee. It wouldn't matter to me.
Yeah.
Coffee, I'm going to drink it.
Okay. There's
Um,
3 other things listed here as the nose if you want to try one more.
Some type of baking something. It's not, it's like a cream.
Creme
So-
fraiche.
Almost like a milk reduction, or what's that? The half and half, or something
Yeah,
like that.
so it lists vanilla cream soda. It also lists truffle and charred grapefruit.
Oh yeah, grapefruit on the back. That makes sense.
So palate has something else entirely.
I gotta
Yeah, it does.
I got a note for the palate.
Well, you're drinking something different.
You're
Oh,
not
I
It's
am?
not the
My
same,
friend.
dummy. Yes.
That's what I get for not listening.
Yeah,
Come
yeah,
on,
that's
Martin.
accurate.
Come on, bro.
And now you all know why I'm here.
Yeah.
We very much
That's
you.
You,
Why are you
you,
here?
you get the role. You get the role she plays here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Reining us all in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
This almost tastes like barrel-aged maple syrup.
It has aged maple syrup in the palate. You guys
Okay.
kill me. God, how do you do this? Okay.
Just drink a lot of whiskey.
So
Just
I
A
have
lot of whiskey.
I have the rye in front of me if the notes if you would like to
Oh, you want me to try it? Hold on.
give yours a go since Brian has the bottled in bond.
Well, we got the cash drinks. We can move on to that one after this.
Yeah, and just
Okay.
to touch on a little bit about the bottled and bond series in itself, specifically the red and blue corn. So
good.
these two mash bills were, two mash bills to kind of stand out of, although yes, we're now turning into where we're a larger distillery. Always wanted to still, show that yes, we still are craft. We can still do really fun things at a really large scale. So when we got our hands on the red corn and the blue corn, what we did was we did a prototype mash bill that was the same mash bill as the musician mash bill, just to see how different the red and the blue corn is. So we ran 70 Jimmy Red, 25 rye, 5 barley, along with 70 blue, 25 rye, 5 barley. And the red corn was really kind of more astringent, kind of reminded us more of like a rye. It was a lot more nutty in flavor. And the blue corn was really sweet. It was like sugar water. So I knew that for the red corn, we kind of had to add the white corn to sweeten it up a touch. And I knew that we couldn't really add any more rye into that specific mash bill. So we landed on 36% Jimmy Red, 34 white corn, 25 rye, 5 barley. And that's now the 5-year Jimmy Red that Brian's trying. And then the blue corn, in my opinion, I think it's our best mash bill that we've ever made. And once it's released this year, maybe we could come back on and try you guys on it, and I'll make sure the 3 of you actually have it.
I've heard good things about blue corn, and Martin has talked about the blue corn that you already have. So I would be thrilled to pieces to try that.
I really like it.
So it's 26% blue corn, 25% white corn. So it's just a legal limit for bourbon. Whole point behind that too is just like kind of like pushing that envelope on what you really can do. And then 44 rye, 5 barley. So we call it internally like ultra high rye blue corn bourbon. I've always had a vision of how much rye can you possibly put in a mash bill? How much can you really push that envelope? And I think that you only can do it with blue corn. So that mash bill is really fun. That will be released in November or early December of this year. But that's something that I'd love to try you guys on as far as the 5-year goes.
Oh no, I have to come to Austin again and try more whiskey in person.
When is that? When are we doing that? I can come to Texas in November. It means it will be like warmer there.
Yeah,
it's a little bit cooler. It's not 90 degrees.
Yeah, you'll be good.
Come on.
But it'll be cold. It'll be cold in Indiana, so anything more south will be warmer. So I'll be happy.
Yeah.
Okay, Winter Texan.
Yeah.
It's okay. All right.
Perfect excuse to come down.
Perfect excuse.
So the rye. Do we want to do the cast strength rye now?
Well, why don't we get into a question and then come back to the rye?
Okay.
Oh, okay. Well, actually, I have a question.
Okay.
Just thinking about like what we've been talking about, and you sort of touched on it earlier, John. But was the grain of glass always a vision? Because I feel like that when a lot of distilleries start out, obviously they may source and they may get it from someone else. Was that always the vision for Still Austin, that it was always going to be grain of glass?
Absolutely. Yeah. And that was like, we took the most difficult route of one, grain to glass, but then also never sourcing a drop of whiskey from anywhere. And just laying down whiskey and just waiting for it to age until, we were ready to release it. And it was difficult in the beginning. We released a 1 year, and granted, we had, the Texas climate to help us out, but we never sourced, and it was always grain to glass. So yeah, in my opinion, probably the hardest route possible.
It's difficult. I mean, because obviously the easier route is having them do that, and you put out whatever you put out until you start putting out and you age everything and you get it out. But I respect the fuck out of distilleries, like when they just set out and they're just like, nope, we're gonna wait. We're gonna put it out when we put it out, and you get it when you get it, and like and it's gonna be something that is from the heart. And I really respect that. So like when I knew about that for a while that you guys did that, but I was very curious if that was always the vision. Like if there was any point where like, well, maybe we could do source from MGP or something like that. But like I really like that you guys did that from the beginning. I think that's such a cool approach.
Yeah,
and it's everything. It's everything. I mean, like even like having like you said it earlier. I think that's what was cool. Is like when you think about the concept, and we talk about it on this podcast a lot, is terroir. And like thinking about the water source, thinking about the grain source, thinking about like, but you guys take it that step further. You even have like Austin local artists doing your bottle. I mean, like I think that's everything that goes into something like terroir. Like that is something that is uniquely Austin, and I think it's so fucking cool.
And it's the one word Adrian hates.
She does. She doesn't. She doesn't like it.
They like try to say it every single time. I just think it's so stuffy. I understand it and I get it. And I love that. Listen, I work at a grain to glass distillery, so I am all about that. But they start saying terroir, and I'm like, okay.
Well,
no, here's the thing. So, I mean, just my 2 cents from coming from a different distillery in Texas. First off, born and bred in Texas, born and raised East Austin. So anybody who gives me shit, fuck you. I'm sorry. No, so the reality of things is like, so Texas, we just grow different like style of grain. So we obviously do not have the same kind of climate that other regions will have that are going to grow better yielding barley for a distillery. We figured that out 2 years ago when I was at another distillery and we switched from Texas barley back to Canadian barley. We got 20% more yield. But with that switchover, we knew that there was going to be a very blatantly different
flavor
profile that was coming from the distillate. And we ran a continuous column at that point as well. It was Vendome, was a little bit different as well from what we have at Still Awesome right now. But it was definitely a different grain. It was definitely a different flavor profile. It was definitely something that we were not necessarily used to if we were trying to stick to 100% Texas grown and bred kind of grain. So, I mean, it just, again, it's as a born and bred Texan, it gives more credit to the philosophy that Chris Heels and the folks who have been here in the company and in the community and in the kind of just larger society of spirits have built within Still Awesome. So yeah, no, we run 100%, Texas grain. Some people would laugh at us and some people outside of Texas will laugh at us. But at the same time, it's kind of just the whole Texas philosophy, like, hey, we're going to do it how we do it, and we're going to show you that we can do it. We're going to tell you fuck off whenever you come and try the shit off.
I'm not knocking it. I love it.
Great.
I think that's what's awesome about whiskey is you have all these different places all over the country. You have different temperature swings. You have different grains. You have the possibilities are endless with whiskey. So I'm not knocking terroir. I'm
Well,
not knocking any of that. I just don't love the word.
Well, yeah, because it sounds pompous as fuck is like the reason why you think of it like that. But like, it's
yeah.
We're over here fighting between pecan and pecan.
Well, that's fucking true. We did spend about 5 minutes on that, so you're not wrong.
No, you spent about 5 minutes, sir.
Yeah, exactly.
It's pecan. But the thing is, I think the reason why it's such like a hot topic in general is because you have something like cognac, right? Cognac is done in cognac. Everything's fucking done there. That's it. With even Scotch distilleries and like that they're doing primarily single malt, like there's been a lot of conversations on that like the grain isn't from there. Usually Scottish distilleries source their grain from England. So like you can't sit there and do that outside of maybe like 3 or 4 distilleries that actually do everything grain to glass. And that's not the norm because it's not financially smart to do that. But like I love that you guys, even like with the barley, like even what you just mentioned, Emiliano, like I love that like you're like we tried the Canadian barley thing and we found it's better to do it this way. So I think the terroir thing for me is just a representation of a region. And I think that's really all it boils down to is like it's showing you the flavors that are from that region, whether it's an actual flavor from the grains, water, everything you guys do from yeast and everything like that. It's to your labels. Like I think there's an effect on that. And I think that's really cool that you guys do stuff like that. And like whenever I find out that a distillery does that, it makes me far more interested like than I know that the grain came from here, the water came from here, the this and that, like where it's like all over the place. It's like it's cool. But I like to feel that representation. And I think this to me is something that feels very much Austin, like through and fucking through. And I think it's so cool.
100%.
Yeah, what he said.
Yeah. All right, Brian. I think it's time, Brian.
Time for the.
Well, I meant the squirrel question.
Oh, okay. Oh,
trying to be.
I mean, yeah, we could always do
Jesus
that.
Christ.
So we always have a question that throws people off, and it's something we've done since the start of us taking over Bourbon with Friends. Yeah, so it's been kind of fun to see people's reactions when we ask this question and where you guys are going to go with it. This is not the most outlandish question we've ever asked about squirrels whatsoever, but based off of your musician whiskey, what instrument or / genre of music would a squirrel play and why?
Emiliano, you can answer.
I'm passing this shit off.
Jazz.
It's fun.
Jazz.
Okay, so why jazz?
Jazz
what
is
instrument?
nuts.
Man, yeah, no, I was literally about to say it. Jazz is nuts, man. Jazz is just wild. It cares for itself in a certain capacity where it's like it's gonna hold certain kind of like piece of itself back for quite some time, and then even within just like a jazz song or jazz like album, you're waiting for that big kind of just like explosion of emotion, of like feel, music, just sound, and it'll come on a little bit later. And just like the squirrels carry their nuts and bury their nuts, it's gonna come on a little bit later. So I say jazz.
Okay.
I second that.
So why do you second that, John?
The easy way out.
I'll be honest. When I read the question, I immediately saw a squirrel playing.
I did think jazz. Jazz. Yeah.
Well, that's why I said what instrument? Oh, how about this? What instrument would he play, John?
Oh man.
Drums.
Oh, that'd be cool.
The violin.
Whoa.
I love a violin.
Yeah.
Squirrel.
Maybe a stringed instrument for sure.
I was thinking saxophone, just like I was big old like, Barry sax.
I was thinking musician. I'm thinking about the product.
Okay, all right.
I'm thinking like
he was on topic.
No,
that's good, dude.
Whiskey. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. There you go. Yeah, hell yeah.
I'll go violin.
That's right. Call Emiliano out. That's right.
Okay.
No, that was great, guys.
No, that was good. Like, and then obviously it's to break up all the other because we could nerd the fuck out real quick. So it's obviously good. But like I will say that like when I wrote that question, that was kind of what I was going from that, because so I rewatched a movie lately called Whiplash, which is like about like jazz drummers. And for some reason, I just pictured this fucking squirrel just smashing the fucking drums, just going off, like just going off. So I was like, I'm like, I hope they answer and they say, and I hope they say jazz, because that makes sense. It's a really cool thing. We have a question. We've actually had a couple questions, but we're gonna ask you this question, because we've been alluding to it a little bit. We talked about barley quite a bit, and I know you guys are obviously rye and bourbon, and you mentioned weeded, but like, is there ever actually been an official weeded release from Still Austin?
Yeah, only through the Distillery Reserve series.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I'd love to see that.
Yeah, so 100% wheat, but then some of the original product was also 100 or weeded bourbon.
Weeded bourbon, but never released.
Okay.
Never released.
The one year?
Is there ever going to is there ever any I thought about doing an American single malt?
I don't. Hey, I'll yeah,
For sure.
Yeah, no, okay, all right.
I'm sorry, Mark. What was that?
Sorry, yeah, Mark.
I'll repeat it. It's fine, dude. I'm joking. So is there ever any thought of doing an American single malt? Because I'm a huge American single malt. I'm a single malt guy. Yeah, so
that's
my
you guys should have seen this one coming. I'm just gonna say.
That's a great question. I would love to do it, but we're just not equipped to do it. And I tried to do it back in 2017, but I learned the hard way of not having a hammer mill and having a roller mill. And I did 100% malted barley, and I put it through the column, and let's just say it was quite the adventure. So I would love to. Just currently, we're just simply not equipped for it. I love single malt. I think it would be a blast to do.
Come to my distillery. I'll show you.
All right, great. Yeah, that sounds great. One day, yes, we will once we're equipped for it. I do have from that interesting experience. I have 3 barrels of single malt that's now going to be 7 years old, but we'll have to revisit that for sure.
Oh, I'd love it. Oh yeah, and when you guys do, please let me know. Because like I just it's that's the thing. Like I'm single malt first usually. Like, I love bourbon, but I do love a single malt's my favorite genre as far as it goes. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yours isn't though, Adrian. That's the thing, guys. We've been trying to get Adrian into single malt, and we can't do it.
So you know what? It's coming along.
It's coming along. Slowly but surely.
Cut me some slack. I just like my dark brown water.
I thought you were going somewhere else with that.
Oh no, Martin! Jesus!
I thought you were going somewhere.
Goodness.
I thought you were going somewhere else with that.
Emiliano,
Brian,
do you want to replace Martin on this next episode?
He asks this question every fuck episode.
No, not the last one, because I wasn't on it. I was just typing shit at 30,000 feet.
Did I? I think I asked it. I imagine if I asked the question, like, does anybody want to replace me? Like, it'd be fun.
That would be weird, but okay.
It'd be weird.
All right.
So
I like him, but I don't like him enough to not replace his job.
There you go. Yeah. Yeah, I get it. Thanks, Emiliano.
Martin, come on, man.
Jesus, dude. He's like coming in like he's like, I'm taking over, dude. So I was gonna ask this next question, but I'm not going to because normally I do, but I did just do the last question. Brian, do you want to ask about the rundown? Because I love this. To me, this is my favorite question. And John, you actually started going into it a little bit earlier with the calm stills and everything like that. But I want to know a little bit more about it. This is a very nerdy fucking question, by the way.
Let's hear it.
Well, it's kind of an interesting question, right? Because you did explain a bunch of your stuff, from the still that you have to the type of fermenters to the silos that you have. Is there any more of a rundown on the equipment that you guys want to talk about or explain to everybody out there that they wouldn't know from what you've already explained that where you've got half your stuff from already?
I think the column is probably the biggest aspect of what's so different from us. So one of the big things, I don't know how big it is, but as far as like our fermentations go, everything's very controlled. All of our fermenters are jacketed. We ferment around 86 to 88 degrees for 60 to 72 hours. We pitch right around that temperature as well, right around 88. We like more of those like fruity esters, more of those sweet characteristics out of the mash. But the column is the biggest piece. I would say the roller mill instead of a hammer mill, we have a little bit more a little bit more of an adjustment as far as the bricks content that we ultimately want to achieve. Which ultimately, what are we sending into the column? We don't want something too high. We don't want something too low. We strive for 9-10% alcohol going into the column. But really, what really is very different about the distillery is that column still, having those additional rectifying trays, not having a doubler, having a vent condenser for the heads cut. It's a true one-of-one custom design still from Forsyths in Scotland. So
Nice.
Yeah, it was not small when I tried to climb up those stairs, and I said, I'm done.
it's not small, and her bigger sister's coming. So
I've heard. I've heard.
What I will also say, so real quick, just addition to all that is what I will say is it's just also the beautiful part of like Texas distilling. We're very young, we're very new in the grand scheme of things. Again, as it was said earlier, Garrison Brothers, the oldest consistent whiskey distillery in the state of Texas, them being, I believe, maybe 16, 15 years, something like that. Just about
05, so almost 20.
Almost 20. Okay, so yeah, a little bit further than that. Well, Sam Olvera, who's a very good friend of ours, and the mash house master over at Garrison, she came over and just gave us a little bit of tips of, hey, we have a roller mill that has the capacity to break down the corn a little bit finer. So we did just a slight adjustment to where we're now from previously breaking down corn from 4.5 and 1.5 to a 3.5 1.5. So it was a little bit finer grain. We're getting a little bit more distillate. We're getting a little bit more ABV from a fully aged fermentation, which again, thanks to John and his kind of just working rounds and being open to just kind of observations of how fermentations are going, we're now, distilling minimum 3-day fermentations, maximum 5 and some change kind of day distillations. And they're coming out to higher yields, more proof gallons, better tasting distillate. So it's just kind of a sharing process, but at the same time, again, just credit to John, also credit to just being able to share and learn how we're doing it a little bit different in Texas. So,
Oh yeah, dude, love that.
That's a great answer. Look at that. I love it.
That was a good answer.
We expect Texas to be different.
Brian, cool. Yeah.
No, actually, it was a really good answer. That I wasn't joking about that.
Emiliano,
I said it in a sarcastic tone.
I was gonna say that was fucking.
Be like a 3-year-old. No,
that was a sarcastic fucking way to put it, Brian. Jesus.
It was, but I had to do it for one person on here. So
yeah, sarcasm is good.
So is there any special releases you guys got coming
that you can talk
about?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a new release. There's a new release series called the Rare Stock release, which is like a barrel that I'll specifically pick out of like our entire stock. And so the first release was a malted blue corn bourbon. So since the blue corn was my personal favorite mash bill, when we were doing the DRS week, kind of wanted to experiment. I was just curious. I'm like, what will malted blue corn taste like? I had no idea. So I cut the white corn out. I just did 51% malted blue, 44 rye, 5 barley. Ooh. See what that tasted like. I I think that it turned out really well. We released it at a 3.5 year. That was the very first rare stock release. I would say it's even like more, it has so much more viscosity. It's so rich. It's very creamy. It's super sweet. The distillery smelled like a stick of Kerrygold butter when you were cooking. It was incredible. Yeah. So then the next, well, let's go in order. The next one will be a Distillery Reserve series, which will be Monster Mash. That will be in October. So we did a 2, 3, 4 year of the original Monster Mash. And really, it was as simple as we had a ton of super sacks in the distillery. I wanted to get rid of them and not to like sugarcoat it. And it was like, hey, does this make enough sense? And it did. As far as the mash bill, it was a corn, wheat, rye, malted rye, barley mash bill. And it turned out to some people's like favorites, and it was like a huge hit. So then, to put a twist on it, we did a malted monster mash. So I took that exact same mash bill and I malted the white corn, I malted the wheat. I left the raw rye portion the same because I didn't want to be too over the top with the malt. And then the regular malted rye portion and barley. So that will now be the 3.5-year-old that will be released this October. Following that, in November, will be the second rare stock release, which is our 100% rye whiskey mash bill aged in French oak for the entirety of its life. So
French
the
oak.
4-year and amazing. Like the French oak, I just did a whole trip with Nancy in France, and it couldn't come in like a better time. We're thinking about like French oak, and French oak. When I got back, was French oak's very difficult to work with, super high tannin content, very, very tough. And then we're looking at these barrels, and I mean, it complemented the rye whiskey amazingly. It was so good. So I can't wait to release that one. That's in November. Following that, the next DRS series after the Monster Mash will be a rye whiskey. We call it SAR 57, Still Austin Rye 57. It's a 57% rye, and the rest is corn and barley. And then the last one I'll mention, people that have had the oated bourbon before from us, there was 1 barrel left of the oated bourbon, and I really thought like the very sweet and creamy oated bourbon would pair really well with that malted blue corn barrel. So I'm finishing the last barrel ever made of the oated bourbon in the freshly dumped malted blue corn barrel. And that will be a 2020 or early 2025 release.
What was the mash bill on that oated one?
Can I just say mine?
Yeah. Give me 1 second. There's so many
the mash bill for the blue corn was 51
malted blue, 51 malted blue, 44 rye, 5 barley. The oated bourbon, if you give me 1 second, I'll look it up. Sorry, we have so many mash bills.
No, you're fine. Yeah, like I'm just very like I really like when oats are used. So
love it.
Yeah. Oh, this man. Oh man.
I think it's cool that it's going in the barrels of the blue malted blue corn and the 44 rye. I think that's what will make. I like that idea.
Like 6 grain bourbons that use oats or so. That's my fucking weakness. So
you guys just made me fucking spend a lot of money, is what I'm hearing right now.
I'm just
so the oated bourbon mash bill is 58% white corn, 35% oats, 7% malted barley.
Wow. Well, so that's something like this isn't a question I actually even have on this stupid screen in front of me. Just because you guys have been talking about all night. What in Emiliano, obviously, like you got to do this, but maybe even if you do it again, what is your ideal mash bill?
I have one right off the bat that I've been trying. This is what's difficult. So we could do whatever we want, but we're beholden to Texas grain. So right now, it's not looking like we have oats that are available. One that I'm really excited that I did last year. Well, there's a lot of them, but the one that's really exciting, we did the Monster Mash but I did blue corn monster mash. So that same original monster mash bill with blue corn, that I'm really excited for. But I really wanted to replicate the malted blue corn mash bill with 51% malted blue and then 44 oats, 5 barley, and take the rye completely out of it. But it doesn't look like I'm going to get the oats, so I have to wait. So that's what I was really excited for. Hopefully we'll get them. We'll see. But it's not looking good.
I mean, for me, it's honestly, it's like it's a purple grain bourbon. It would be red, blue, 50-50, and then in some capacity, very high malt barley kind of grain. So some brewer's grain, more likely, which is what we use for the mash bill that I just don't remember the name of it, but it's the mash bill, or it's the barley that we use for the mash bill that we created when I came on board. But it's just a really high Munich. Oh, holy shit! Look at this man. Yeah, it would be a really high Munich malt bourbon, but where the corn would be 50-50 red blue, just because I really like the two different flavors.
That'd be interesting.
Like on themselves. Put them together, you can probably extract just enough sweetness from the blue, enough earthiness and like leather and whatnot from the red. And then, I mean, the Munich malt is supposed to be all just berry. That's what they say in the description of that fucking malt. It's once the yeast hits it, berry, 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 berry. So
Isn't
John,
isn't that Munich barley in like single malts too? Didn't they mention that in another one that we talked about?
Yeah.
Correct.
Yes.
Because I can even just say just because that's evidently a brewer's malt that a lot of single malt, especially in the new kind of American single malt world. Westward, I think, is somebody.
Yeah, I was just thinking. I was like, I think Miles talked about that when we talked to him. So anyway,
they're talking about Miles Davis.
Well,
obviously. Jesus, dude.
I heard him say Munich, and I was like, I've heard that before.
Yeah.
See, Adrian, you're figuring it all out.
I'm learning.
You're figuring out
I'm the novice.
You're figuring out the barley
All I do
game,
is
dude.
crack the whip. That's it.
I was gonna say she's the novice, but she's the one who's like making sure we're all on.
Yeah, she just keeps
us on track. So with that, I have another question for you all.
My favorite question.
It is our favorite question. So we like to ask everybody what their favorite whiskey memory is. It could be from any time in your life, at any point, anything that really stands out and is your favorite.
It could be a family thing, like a nostalgic thing. It could just be like the first time you ever drank whiskey, whatever it is.
You know, I would say one of my favorite whiskey memories was when we launched the Musician, the 1 year, and it was like one of those just like kind of accomplishments of like, you know, it was a long time coming. It was really stressful. It was a 1 year, and when you think of 1 year, you think it's going to be extremely young. It's not going to taste good.
Grain
it was just
forward.
One of those things where, very grain forward. It was one of those things where it's like we're finally, just because we never sourced, and it was, you know, it's difficult. You know, it's almost like frustrating in a sense of like you want to release something. And when we had that release party and Nancy was there, the place was absolutely packed, and I got surprised with like a engraved like whiskey thief from Chris, and had me like stand up on a table with it, and I was like, it feels like I conquered something with everybody, like the whole team. I would say that was like my whole family was down there. Friends flew down because, you know, the only person I have down here as far as family goes, like blood, you know, obviously my distillers are my family too, and everyone is still awesome, but my sister is the only one that's down here. But my whole family flew down for that accomplishment. So that was very memorable. That 1 year launch. Yeah, so I would go with that. That's the first
Awesome.
thing that came to my mind.
Awesome.
That's good. I like that. I like that a lot, man.
Yeah. So here's the thing. I'll say I got two moments that are at this point, and I've been in the spirits industry for almost a decade now. But both of the real kind of like moments of my life that have just been like, yes, this is what we're doing for the rest of our life, have been with Silk. So the again, previous distillery I was at in very big transition. And I told my wife, I was like, okay, we got three fucking things that we're gonna do. We're gonna move to fucking Dallas, we're gonna move to fucking Houston, or I'm gonna fucking luck out and we're gonna move, or we're gonna stay where the fuck we're at here in Austin, where I'm born and raised. My children, all three of them now, are born and raised. Fucking not old, but 4 to 6 months, or sorry, 11 months old. And it was the first one was when John offered me the fucking job. I'm at the parking lot of my previous employer, and I loved what I was doing, but it was just not the right fit anymore. And I said, okay. It didn't work out with me and Fierce Whiskers, thanks to everybody over there. They're all Dan Cole, Zane, Riley. They're all very good friends of ours, but it didn't work over there at the moment. And I'm waiting for a phone call from Dallas, Houston, or Austin. And, John calls me and he's like, hey, let's do this conversation. We talk. He says, hey, yeah, no, we really like you. And I say, cool. Just so you know, I'm going to have some time off sometime in October because I got a third child coming into the world. And he says, yeah, no problem. We're going to take it. And I'm like, cool, man. Fuck yeah. And he was like, cool. So we got a week of paternity leave. I'm like, yo, what the fuck is paternity leave? So, so that was the first moment. Just John, and again, credit to our leadership, Chris Seals and everybody who's put everything into kind of thought and into process for this whole company, just making it, very extremely family friendly and very thoughtful for their coworkers. But then coming into the distillery was the second, moment for me. Was I just came, put boots on the grounds, and met everybody, and was like, yeah, I'm born and raised in this place, and the fact John, my first week, 2-3 weeks, month of just doing Distillery Reserve Series, I'd already been used to the very outside kind of heat labor of Texas. Again, being born and raised here, and this just being like the first week, I was like, all right, cool, yeah, this is fun. This is where I'm gonna be at, and I have no regret to anything that I'm doing. And again, to all credit, flowers to the man right beside me, John. He's done everything that he can for us as employees, as his team, and yeah, at some capacity, my wife, just a couple weeks ago was like, "Yeah, you better fucking treat John like he's your fucking brother." Because he was like, he's
and John's like, he's right. She's right.
yeah. She told me, she was like, he gifted you with this opportunity, like, don't fuck it up. And I'm trying not to fuck it up, right? I'm here. But,
probably better listen to your wife.
Yeah.
And again, there was John with that little smirk right there, right when he said, "Don't fuck it up."
Exactly, right? You probably saw that shit.
All right,
yeah, I did.
That's fucking dope.
That's dope, but in all seriousness, this is those two of the biggest like whiskey bourbon kind of moments for me. I've had some prior, but
and I think that's why we asked this question, because I think the big thing is that, like, I think like when we get too far into this whole whiskey thing, you forget those moments that started you off. Like they even set you on this track. to get to this point, like where we're all talking here, you forget about those moments sometimes. But it's good to go revisit them and get humbled. Like, this is why the fuck we're doing what we're doing.
Oh yeah, you know, going back to, you know, just from like hearing Emiliano talk, you know, it's not like it has been like, yeah, we still have our trials and tribulations and things are difficult at the distillery, like any distillery. But understanding the people that you have, the skill set that you have, and, you know, for me being grateful for the people that I have running the distillery, you know, where it's a two-way street, where I'm grateful for Emiliano and I'm grateful for all these guys, because it's truly took a very, very long time to build a team where it's kind of set it, forget it, let it go, you know, and just keep them, just make sure that they're able to run, make sure that everything mechanical is fully serviced, make sure everything's ordered, make sure that they have everything to where they can show up to work every single day and be able to run, you know. That's now the job, you know, and being able to build a team where now I have a team of, you know, 10 guys that from the barrel warehouse, from the distillery, where one, clearly you can tell the passion, and finding everybody that's passionate. Yes, it's a job, but we're clearly in this for a whole other different reason. You know, it's the passion behind it, and finding a whole entire team, let alone not just the distilling staff, but for us, the marketing, the sales, everyone collectively that's really like, we want to see this succeed. It's a very rare project, and that's what makes it like, you know, I never want to leave. So I'm like, I know that I'm never going to find something as good as this. You know, you're never going to find another Chris Seals, and I have always said it starts from the very, very top. We're just the distilling side. You know, it's that figure that makes this whole vision pop off.
It is. And man, like I will say, like I think my favorite thing so far that we've experienced, like in interviewing people, and it's no different with you guys, it's just that passion, because it has to be. It has to be. Like, if you don't have it, we're gonna fucking tell as consumers. We're gonna be able to tell right the fuck away that you guys like that you have this like cohesive thing. And I've always sensed that with you guys, and like you're right, man. Like, that's to have that kind of it's not just job security, man. It's just like, it's like freedom, right? Like, it's just like freedom to express it, and it's freedom to be able to bring an idea to the table, and everybody's like, yeah, let's fucking try this out, dude.
And that requires chemistry too. I think between people, I think it really,
like literal chemistry.
Really got to click and to find a group of people where you can all get along and you can all collaborate is a big deal. It's a big deal.
It's a huge deal.
It goes to that. So there's been a question that I was asked a couple of years ago, and not a couple, more so like a few years ago, that I started to implement very recently. And I asked John and our barrel warehouse manager, who was a very long distiller for Still Awesome as well, Ryan. I asked, okay, so do you believe that there are bad distillers or bad whiskey, or good distillers or good whiskey?
That's a good question.
So who creates what? And it was kind of unanimous. Like, no, there's bad distillers that just so happen can make good whiskey, but it's the distiller's portion, you know, that makes the art and that makes the final product. So, you know, you can luck out, right? You can luck out with, you know, your 3 tier, 4 tier kind of like stacking of a barrel or a rack that, you know, just so happens to make really good flavoring, but you fucked up because you only got half of the quantity of that barrel because you put too much heads into it, or because you put, you know, too much something that just didn't work out, but over a long period of time, it eventually worked out. So, you know, I think that's part of the philosophy where it's like, you know, the people are really what makes the whiskey. So distiller makes the good whiskey. Sometimes shit doesn't work out, right? You're not batting 1,000, but you know, we are doing what we do.
It is the people that make the whiskey. You summed it up right there, 100%.
100%. I will say this makes my intro seem so much cooler than it was, because it wasn't that. It just is whatever. But like the fact that, like you said, that it comes back to that. It comes back to the people. It comes back to everybody that's working their asses off to fucking make good whiskey, for us to have this in a fucking bottle and drink it. And that's always my favorite thing in the world, is that people have, like, there's people that I drink with that like don't understand what goes into this, and then when they learn about it, they either care or they don't care. And when I find out they care, like, where'd they come from? How do they do this? How do they come up with this mash bill? Or like how do they come up with this like profile? And I think that's the most amazing fucking thing in the world. And you guys, it's so cool what you guys are doing down there, man. Like you guys have a very unique profile, and I'm all about unique profiles. And you guys have that in spades. So I love that answer, man. I really do.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, honestly, that's my favorite question, because like getting to learn like where people started, or even like not even started, but like that moment where like where it just fucking clicked. It's an amazing fucking thing. So thank you guys. Yeah. Also, by the way,
No.
no, I'm not gonna. What the fuck?
Holy shit!
I was gonna say something fun, dude. I was gonna say that.
Okay.
Jesus Christ, dude. I was gonna say.
Emiliano.
I was gonna say that I've been nosing this and tasting this fucking rye, the cast strength rye that you guys sent us. Which, by the way, thank you. But like,
yeah,
it's a mint note. It's a mint note. And I can't.
He read the notes finally.
No, I didn't read the notes. I don't even know where they are. I gotta be honest with you. I just opened the box. I just opened the box. But there's definitely a mint note that I've been like, because normally like I will say that most of the times, like when I get like rye whiskey notes, I always go to menthol. That's usually my go-to, like just like menthol.
It shows the mint on the finish.
Newport's Lost. Oh, on the finish? I didn't get it on the finish.
Mint leaves on the finish.
I didn't get it on the finish. I got it on the palate. So
well, it says lemon zest on the palate. It would be the closest thing to mint, I believe. Palate: grilled peaches with mint ice cream, apple and marzipan dumplings, gingerbread cookies with lemon zest.
Marzipan dumplings?
Marzipan.
Jesus.
I said that wrong. We're all about
you said
pronunciations
it right.
around here, apparently.
Dude, we've all watched the Great British Bake Off. It's fine.
No, we haven't.
All right, guys. We're Brian. I know Brian. We need to do what we need to do, right? We're wrapping it up.
I mean, it's your turn to do it. So I mean, well, it's always your turn to do it.
It's always my turn to do it. So I will say, and guys, number one, thank you guys, John, Emiliano.
Really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Fucking hell, dude. This is it's amazing to have you guys on. I've been very excited about this one, but we have to take a minute out to thank our sponsors. You guys might be aware of them. And this weekend, and I want to point this out. This last weekend, they had their 10th anniversary. It's an amazing distillery, 10th Mountain Whiskey, guys. Go check them out. You can find them on all social media platforms. I'm not going to make a joke, Brian. I'm not going to make a joke. I'm just going to go straight into a sponsorship spot. You guys can find them at 10thwhiskey.com. 40 different states. I feel like that's different now. Is it different?
Distribution through 41 different states. And
40,
then
41, okay.
And then
some whiskey.
Yeah. Woo. So yes, it's been a long day for me too. Been on phone calls since 3 a.m. with the East Coast, and then all the way back.
Yeah, this sponsorship shit went south. So 41 different states, through online distribution, 28 states across the country, regular retail distribution, guys. Go check them out. They have merch. They have whiskey. You can get them there. They also have love. I don't know. I don't know if you guys actually sell that, but like you should go check them out at 10thwhiskey.com. Again, 10thwhiskey.com. Go there, ask some questions. There's people that will hang out with you, talk to you. They just had their 10th anniversary. Let's fucking celebrate that. That's fucking great. That's fucking awesome, man. Honestly, like that's a big fucking achievement. And go check them out again, guys. 10thwhiskey.com. Go check them out. Go get your whiskey. Go get your love. Go get your merch. I have a bunch of shirts from them. They're really comfortable. I got hats. Protects your head. So yeah, go check them out. 10thwhiskey.com. 10th Mountain Whiskey. Check them out, guys.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining. John Emiliano, it is a pleasure. It's an honor. I will see you guys sometime this year in person.
Soon.
I can guarantee that because I have to come back out there and try some more Still Austin at Still Austin and not just at my house.
That would be fun. So, I think I should come too.
We gotta get you
yeah, y'all gotta do a whole
barrel warehouse and barbecue next time you're here.
I'm down, dude.
No, that sounds awful.
It sounds terrible. I'm not for that. Like I'll be in Houston in a couple of weeks, so I might hit you guys up.
What we should do is Texas Whiskey Festival, April 12th. Y'all just come in a few days. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, y'all just come in a few days early. We do the whole Rick House, whole barbecue. We do the whole festival.
Do a new podcast.
Yeah. We'll fucking take care of you. If not us, our sisters and brothers all around. So yeah.
I think we can have some ideas.
We can figure that out. Yeah, we can figure that out.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Well, you guys, again, thank you so much. I know on behalf of Bourbon and Friends, this has probably been a phenomenal recording. I know it's been one of my favorites. I'm not sure about these two as well. So, and then the dog back there just interrupting all the time.
Love it. It's the perils of having a dog, brother. Like, welcome to that life, dude.
My dog is the size of your dog 10 times.
It is. Frankly, you hear that?
That's true.
Frankly, your dog's the size of your whiskey bottle collection, or maybe a bottle. But thank you guys so much.
You just gave him a
love
complex.
To have you on. Shut up.
He's mad right now, dude. You gave him a fun complex, dude.
Guys, thank you so much for joining. And remember, everybody out there, a bourbon with friends can change the world. Cheers. Have a great night.
Everybody.
Cheers, everybody.
Fantastic night, everybody.
That's it for this episode of Bourbon with Friends. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. While you're at it, leave us a review to make it easier for others to find the show. You can also check us out on Instagram at BWF Podcast. Thanks for listening.